Yeah. I fucking made you.
I own you.
Now, yeah.
But you got to see the finger underneath.
So there's,
Oh,
Got
yes.
the finger, the EJ finger. Lawrence Stroll, Aston Martin.
once you start getting rid of people a lot and repeatedly, it inevitably happens that there's a fear factor. You start making small decisions at the margin different.
The real question is, because we're talking about Max, has Max got the patience to see that come together?
Yeah.
Well, you're here to answer the questions.
If he gets an offer to go in a better car, all bets are off.
The team principal of racing.
No, he
Bulls
wasn't
used to-
team
He
principal.
wasn't team principal then. He was Ralph's assistant.
I know, but he became a
then
team
became-
principal in Formula One.
and
he used to remove Ralph's raisins.
retired. It gets worse.
Hello, welcome back to High Performance Racing. We'll tell you why we're laughing in a minute. Yes, there will be dad jokes at the end of this episode as well, and Otmar is disappointed because
I told two the first episode. Now I don't have any left.
He's run out.
you've got about an hour to think of some dad jokes.
I'll think so.
Listen, we've got a really fun show lined up. You're a man who has that rare experience of working behind the scenes at the Aston Martin Formula One team. We're going to be talking about what is going on at Aston Martin. We're going to be discussing Jonathan Wheatley's departure from Audi. We're going to be finding out what the deal is with Max Verstappen and can he win a race at Red Bull in the not too distant future, and is that enough to keep him at Red Bull? What does his future look like? What are you guys like when there's no racing to watch? Are you chilled with it?
Yeah, chill.
Are you?
can say.
Did you not find that when you first stopped going to every race weekend, you were obsessed about what was happening? Or were you just both relieved not to be travelling all the time?
Personally, I was relieved. I was still going, but not to a lot of them, helping out Formula One experiences and some of the sponsors. After a while, you get used to not traveling to everyone.
Do you miss it?
I miss the competition. I don't miss the travel.
Yeah.
You can't
100%.
have one without the other.
For me, Formula One always comes down to, and if it doesn't while you're doing it, it always comes down to that 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, the
right?
competition.
So we still go to races, and when I go there, there's like everything you don't miss, apart from that, like so the Saturday afternoon as well for me. That hour on a Saturday afternoon was so
The hour of quali.
the hour of quality and the 2 hours of the race are so engaging, and it's like a drug. Like I don't think you can ever not miss it, right?
I don't know how many races I've done on the pit wall between 400 and 500. That hour before the race starts, to me, was 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It would go by so quickly.
Really?
Yep.
Would you always go and see your drivers on the grid before the race?
Yes.
What would you say?
Shake their hand, thumbs up, you can do this.
That was it.
Go fast,
Except
don't crash.
for when it was Esteban and Sergio. I'd say, you run into him and I'm going to beat the shit out of you because I'm a lot bigger than you are.
Who were you saying that to?
Esteban.
Did it ever happen?
Yeah. They didn't listen.
And did you beat the shit out of them?
Not physically, but more mentally.
You know, it's funny actually because you know
How we stopped it?
Go on.
This was because they used to qualify right next to each other.
Which is your worst nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
And this was at a time where if you broke the gearbox seal, you got a 5 grid penalty. So we just told them, said, look, this happens again, I'm cutting the seal.
Yeah.
You're moving back 5 places.
Is that what you said?
That's what we're going to do. Cut the seal. Because how else do you move? You can't artificially move them back. You
I
can't.
hadn't even considered that was a way of keeping your drivers separate from the grid.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to do it. It was just a threat.
Just the
Yeah.
threat. The threat worked.
What is it about Esteban then that led him to, like, he has this reputation for being a bit like that with his teammates? Because I've met him, interviewed him. I love his backstory.
Me too.
I love the scrap to get to Formula One. You know the story of, like,
Yeah.
you know,
That
like
is-
it's a proper Formula One story, and I really like him as a person.
And Toto tried to force Verdheim on me.
Who?
Pascal.
Pascal.
Oh, Verline.
Did I say Verdheim?
Yeah, Verline.
So
Pascal Verline.
Verdheim was a Formula 3000 winner. And then I don't know where
Oh,
he
yeah.
went. Arden,
Swedish.
Swedish.
my God, I thought I was like a Formula One geek, and I'm
anyway. Verline, Pascal Verline.
Yeah, because there was a time where everyone thought he was.
Yeah, and
he's going to be the next guy.
I remember Toto.
Oh, Verline was the guy who lifted off him. Wasn't he winning the Monaco Formula 3000 race? Was it Formula 3000 or was it GP2? And he was winning it, and then he lifted off.
And somebody got him?
And then he lifted off before the checkered flag.
Is it?
He lifted off at the control line rather than at the checkered flag, and a load of people went past.
Went past him. Could have been him, but he won the championship.
But he won the championship.
Yeah, in the Arden. And I said to Toto, no, we're going to take Esteban. And we took Esteban.
Why does he have this reputation for having issues with his teammates? Or like, why did you feel that he was the one that was going to hit his teammate?
In Formula One, you're only really compared to your teammate if there's discrepancy between teams and the car performance. And he just had this thing that I've got to beat my teammate. And sometimes to ensure you beat your teammate, Senna.
Yeah.
You run into him.
You may go a little bit too far.
Well, it's the first person you want to beat, right?
He was always a bit scrappy, right? Even in the junior formulas, I think like Esteban was a bit scrappy, a bit like elbows out. And it's probably a little bit with the backstory, right? It was kind of like make or break.
Yeah.
He's one of those kids that I haven't got 15 more chances. You know, if I get this wrong or if I don't make it work this year, that's it. I'm done.
I'm out.
And there's no family money to kind of say, oh, well, you know,
It's
don't worry.
okay, go do something else.
Yeah.
No plan B. You've
There
hit
was
the
no
nail on the
something
head.
else.
He's hit the nail on the head, hasn't he?
Yeah.
As always.
Thanks
As he
very much.
has done on every episode we've ever recorded of High Performance Racing.
So once.
Yes. Right, let's crack on with the show. I really want to talk about Max Verstappen. I really want to talk about Red Bull. I want to know what he will be feeling right now in a car that is so far behind the best cars in Formula One. And this is a driver who has never shied away from telling the world that if he's not in a fast car, he's not going to be happy. And if he's not happy, he doesn't always stick around.
I've got a ton of respect for Max Verstappen. I think he's matured beyond where I thought he was going to mature to in a very short period of time. And he's a true world champion, probably the best driver out there today.
Yes, without a doubt.
You both put him above Lewis on the grid.
Yeah, today.
Well,
100%.
But the Lewis of today.
yeah, the Lewis of today.
And the Fernando of today.
And
Yes.
the Fernando, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because they're at different times.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare Max at his peak, Lewis at his peak, Fernando at his peak, because that's never going to happen.
Yep.
And if I had to force you both to say the name of one driver who at their peak you think is the greatest of all time, you're not allowed too much thinking time. We're each going to say it as quick as we can. We're going to start with Rob and then you and then me. The greatest ever Formula One driver in their peak.
Ayrton Senna.
Senna. Okay.
Oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah.
Boring.
Everyone's like, oh, I can't wait to see whether they have a row over who the greatest driver of all time
Yeah,
is.
but you know why?
But
Do you know why? You know what? My opinion on that, like, I think if you ask anybody who has been close and worked in Formula One like us, a lot of people say Senna. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because we've worked with, like around here, we've worked or been around or whatever, some of the greatest drivers of this generation in the past 30 years. They're like colleagues, right? I always try and explain this to people. I was like, Ayrton Senna I wasn't in Formula One when Ayrton Senna sadly lost his life. So I never got to see or work with Ayrton Senna. If I had done, I probably would have noticed all of his foibles and flaws as a human being. Whereas, you know, like Michael Schumacher was a colleague of mine, even though he's like a legend and a hero and absolutely one of the greatest drivers ever, but he's still a colleague, right? He's still like, you got to see all of his foibles and flaws and like, he had plenty of them. Ayrton Senna for us, we never saw that. He was just a legend. He was just this myth.
that and his ability to pull 1.5 seconds on the rest of the field at Monaco.
Yeah.
You know, where I live in Norwich.
And he would have been 7 times world champion.
Absolutely, if he hadn't tragically lost
Well,
his
look
life.
at all those titles that Williams won.
So where I live in Norwich, 5 minutes from my house is like a nondescript 1960s estate of bungalows, right? It's just like, you know, if you pictured like British suburbia, you know, those classic houses, you go up there and on the left-hand side is this bungalow and it's on a road called Rugger Drive, Rugge Drive. literally 3 minutes driving, 10 minutes walking from my house. That's where Ayrton Senna lived when he first came to the UK. When he signed for Van Diemen. Remember, like when he first came over?
Yeah.
As a lot of drivers did to come over from South America to make their name.
Was that in Formula 2000?
Formula Ford 1600.
1600, before he went to 2000.
Yeah.
I just think of like this kid from Brazil coming to the UK and then ending up in Norfolk, in Norwich, in a 1960s bungalow, living on his own, trying to make his way into motorsport.
Well, it'd be modern then.
Commitment.
Come on, Jake.
Well, it would have been modern then. Yeah, you're right. but the point is like lonely and hard and commitment. Exactly. And I go there every year. I make a little trip to that house. I think the person thinks it's a bit weird that I lay some flowers outside that house once a year, and they're thinking, "What?
Do you?"
Yeah.
When I was
on the anniversary of his death. Yeah.
When I was at Honda,
Is that weird?
Good on you. No, it's not weird at all.
I think it's
He's a
like,
legend.
when I was at Honda, Takeya Kyuchi, who's a personal friend, was his engine engineer when Senna was at McLaren in a Honda. And every time we went to Brazil, we'd have to go. He did the same at his gravesite.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You look
Kyuchi-san would take flowers
Yeah.
every year. And I'd go with him.
And even though we never met him, it's moving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like, it's Ayrton Senna.
Oh man, have you?
And I
have you
think Manish
seen-
Pandey did such a great job.
I was just about to talk about Manish's movie, the 2010 thing. That
Just
is
brilliant.
So emotional.
And you know why it's so good? For me, it's not talking heads. There's no talking heads in there. It's all footage.
Yeah.
And it tells a story through the old footage.
Yeah,
How good is that?
absolutely. Yeah,
I'm
he's
going to
a
download
genius
that
at that.
actually and watch it again on the train home because I haven't seen it since then.
My two favorite motor racing movies have to be, with all due respect to this latest Brad Pitt one, the Senna movie and Closer to the Edge. Have you seen that?
Remind me, Closer to the Edge?
Isle of Man TT.
Yes, yeah. It's the one where Guy
Yes.
became
Yeah,
famous,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So Guy Martin,
Yeah.
that's where he became famous
And
off
there's
the
that
back of
bit
that.
of footage where they're coming around
Yes.
that left-hander and they move their heads so they don't catch their heads on the lamppost on the outside of that wall. And
I mean,
you're like,
honestly, like I have, like, we've been in and around there for Formula One forever. Like, maximum respect for Formula One drivers, but those boys who drive like the road races on bikes,
Unbelievable.
wow, they are superheroes.
I introduced Closer to the Edge to a friend of mine in Florida. And I must have seen it 18 times, so I'm watching it for the 19th time. And he had no idea the Isle of Man existed.
really?
And he's like, man, how much do you get for a win here? And I'm thinking, it's not what you think. I had to look it up. It's like 12 grand.
yeah. It's
You know
nothing,
what, though,
right?
doesn't
It's
that
nothing.
make it even-
They
that makes it
don't
even
do
better,
it
though.
for the money.
That's even better.
They don't
Yeah.
do it for
That
money.
makes it real and proper.
Yeah.
I get a bit obsessed about like road racing movies as well. There's one about the Dunlops. That was great.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I need
Yeah,
to.
watch it. I can't remember what it's called, but if you watch it, and it goes right through the whole dynasty
Oh, nice.
of the Dunlops and road racing.
Max Verstappen. Come on, let's talk Max Verstappen and Red Bull. What does Max Verstappen's future look like if Red Bull can't get a car that wins races this season?
Not in Red Bull.
Yeah.
Honestly,
That's what his future.
The best
yeah.
drivers usually choose the best teams. Figure out who the best team is when he's out of contract, and I'm sure he'll want to go there. Mercedes, maybe?
Red Bull are open about the fact that they need to deliver the best car, or at least a car that Max can win in, which doesn't have to be the best car because of how good he is. They're open about the fact that if they don't do that, he is going to look elsewhere.
They probably didn't have the best car last year, and he nearly won it.
Yeah.
And I've said this in the past. Had they kept Sergio, he would have won it.
Yeah.
you think?
Very true.
Is that
And great
explain
point.
that to me?
So he lost it to Lando by 3 points.
Yep.
All they needed is a Sergio to supplant himself between a Max win and a Lando a couple of times.
Yeah, but Sergio wasn't doing that though.
Give him the whole season.
Do it a couple of times.
Do it. You just do it once.
Yep.
If you have a one-time Max 1, Sergio 2, Max wins the championship. How many races did he win? 7, 8?
Some crazy amount.
So
yeah.
of those 7, 8 that Max won, You just needed a 1-2 once, right? So the car's there. Max has won it. Suzuka, wherever. Just needed a 1-2 once, and Max wins the championship.
I just think Sergio mentally was so broken by what was going on at mind you, it depends what Sergio is behind the wheel of that car.
You just needed it once.
Yeah, I mean,
At a track that he likes, just one time.
Yeah, and Sergio is, I mean, let's face it, Sergio is a good peddler, right?
He is a good peddler.
Otmar knows it like 10
absolutely,
times better than me. The guy is a very good driver, right? If you take his first years there, when they backed him and they got behind him, the guy was electric. Okay, he wasn't going to beat Max, right? But that's like just ridiculous.
But if you remember, and this is what made me think of it, his first year there when Max won, he was known as the Ministry of Defense.
Yeah.
And why was that? Because he was putting himself between Max and the others to defend Max for the win. All he had to do that was one time.
Who was calling him the Ministry of Defense within the team?
Within the team and everyone in Mexico.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. That was his name, Ministry of Defense.
Yeah, you are, as usual. I think you're right. I mean, it would have taken just once, wouldn't it?
Once at a 1-2, or some other races, if you look to where Max won and the other fish, all you got to do is just be in between.
Okay, well, that didn't happen.
Just ahead of Lando.
That didn't happen. So we didn't win the title last season. So already he's feeling, I do prefer it when I do win the world title. So now we go into this season and the car isn't where it's at. You said maybe Mercedes. I feel like Mercedes is sewn up now with George having just signed a new deal. Kimi obviously is like the future there. Is there ever a world where he's at Mercedes next season?
Stranger things have happened in Formula One.
Could Mercedes being successful this season make it increase the likelihood of Max going there in a strange way?
Or not so strange way? I think the answer is yes, because remember, the best drivers want to be with the best teams. So Mercedes dominates. Hard to predict the future, but you can look at the past and say, maybe they'll continue to dominate. And here I am, best driver, best team. And you said it, Rob, I think last time we were together, performance isn't guaranteed in Formula One.
Yeah. So
you got to do everything you can to make sure you continue to perform.
But who could he replace? George or Kimi?
That's a more difficult choice.
Yeah.
That is a more difficult choice because both of the drivers there now are very deserving. We could end up at the end of this year with the way things are going with George Russell being world champion. There's a strong chance that you're going to end up with George Russell being world champion. We're seeing Kimi go from rookie and, finding his feet, not only in Formula One, but in a top team, that environment, to now having made a step this year. He's definitely made a step, what we've seen from the first few races. So, maybe at the end of the year, Kimi's even on par with George, which shows that if he's like that at the end of year 2, where's he going to be at the end of year 5 or whatever, right? So the choice is very, very difficult. So that's probably more difficult for us to answer. But would Toto want Max
in a Mercedes?
The answer is yes. It's 100%. We already know that from what is public knowledge that whatever year it was, 23, 24 or whatever, right?
Well, we know he was trying to get him or was certainly... But why would you want Max in a Mercedes if the people who are in the Mercedes, for example, is a world champion George Russell and a second in the world championship, young Kimi Antonelli?
Getting better.
And the team is stable and they understand each other. And George is a Mercedes guy. It feels like a gamble to me to go and get Max and put him in that car, that team.
The one thing for sure with Max is probably the best driver out there today.
Yeah.
And that's not being disrespectful to everyone else because they're all supremely talented. But if you look at Max,
being more respectful to Max, probably, right? That's all we're. Yeah, I agree with Otmar. If you look at so here's the thing, right? Here's a question for all of us. If we had 22 now, identical cars. Who wins all the races in the championship?
Max Verstappen.
Max?
Max.
Max for me, right? So why wouldn't you want that guy in your... What does he bring? We don't know what he brings. It's very difficult, but does he bring 2/10? Does he bring 2.5? Does he bring 3? I think that's less important. I think what he brings is a champion who has won multiple world championships, so he knows how to do it repeatedly, and B, he's one of those drivers that he will take all the opportunities and put them together and package that into race wins and championships.
And he's completely matured over the last 3-4 years. He's a complete driver.
What do you mean by that?
At the beginning, I think he was taking undue risks that he didn't need to take, and then didn't finish where he should have finished, and that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, but again, I think that we can look at his speed and his ability and how he wins world titles, but you're still going to upset a team that's otherwise stable.
But to be successful in anything, you have to continue to evolve and keep almost reinventing yourself. That's the same in anything, right? Business, sport, whatever. You can't take the Manchester United team of the class of 92 and put them out to play now in exactly the same way.
You think complacency doesn't work even when you're winning?
You got to keep evolving, keep reinventing yourself, keep taking all of those, tiny marginal gains and keep packaging them. It's up to Toto's in charge, right? He has to kind of guide the ship. It's his ship to guide. He has to make sure that, I put if it might be Max Verstappen, it might be a new technical director, it might be whatever, right? But he's got to take the talent and get the most out of that talent. So I think that would he, as the guy who's guiding that, well, Otmar, you should answer this. If you were in Toto's shoes and you win the World Championship at the end of this year, with either George or Kimi, doesn't matter, regardless of who you have to displace, would you take Max?
Sitting here today, with everything I know, I would take Max if I had the opportunity. But I'm not Toto.
Yeah.
And I don't have those relationships with George and Kimi, and I didn't bring him up and, all that. But, yeah.
When you were hiring drivers,
yeah,
what did you look at other than just raw natural speed, or what questions did you ask them to work out if they were the right person to bring in your team? And
it was mainly raw natural speed, but also how collaboratively they worked and how well they would get on with the team. But predominantly, we wanted the fastest drivers that we could attract. And when I was running teams, because it was never the best team or never the wealthiest team or never, it was, you couldn't attract the best. So we were always just nearing the best drivers. So we always try to do the best drivers that we could attract, I wanted. And we ended up with Hülkenberg and Sergio at one time together, and we had decent driver pairings for a midfield or top four, a top four team.
Did you ever get close to a driver that we haven't, or we didn't know about, and it would have been a proper headline if you'd have signed them?
So we signed Vettel, who is one of my favorite drivers to have worked with ever.
When you were at Aston Martin?
When I was at Aston Martin. Great work ethic, smart guy, engineer in the car. I mean, fast. He was brilliant. Nearly signed Kimi Räikkönen to Force India.
No.
Before he went to Lotus.
Please tell me the story.
Oh.
I love it when one of your stories starts with,
Brazil. Can't remember the year. Last race. I had to meet Kimi at the Hyatt in Marumbi.
Yeah.
That's where we're all staying.
Yeah.
There's like a Japanese restaurant there. So I met him with two of his buddies, trying to convince him to come to Force India. So he said, okay, and at the end of the season, come and talk to me. His two buddies, I think, were the founders of Angry Birds. Do you remember that?
The app, the game.
The app, the game, yeah. Anyway,
What were they doing there?
They're buddies of
His mates.
yeah.
So there wasn't a manager or
Kimi Räikkönen. No, it was the buddies and Räikkönen. So Räikkönen says, right, let's go talk at the Red Bull party. So Red Bull were having a massive party at the end of the season. And we get there, and I'm thinking, we're not going to get in. The crowds are huge. To be respectful, or to Kimi was just great. So we couldn't get in. The crowds were huge. But they recognized Kimi. So Kimi right this way. They open up all the 10 satyrs they had there and, come on in. Kimi waited for every one of us to get in before
nice.
he stepped through the 10 satyrs. Very nice.
Yeah.
As it turned out,
Good guy.
I couldn't convince him to come to Force India.
He was nice, but he wasn't that nice. What, financially, or the car you were building, or what?
It was a bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to convince drivers too that the future looks rosier than the other offers that they have. And to be fair to him, he went to Lotus at a time where they won more races than we did.
Mm-hmm.
So they were better at that point. I think they still had James Allison there at that time.
James was there because that was before he came back to Ferrari. Yeah.
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 Did you work with Kimi at Ferrari?
Yeah.
What did you think of him?
As a driver, very, very naturally talented. Very, very naturally talented. If I can get geeky for a while, turned the car in very, very early, very, very high speed, and dealt with it. Right, and there's very few drivers that can do that. Right, a lot of them will wait. They'll start to feel the car. They'll start to get the car into the apex, and they won't lean on it that hard. He turned it in and just dealt with it. Didn't matter what.
Do you know that because of the data you're looking at, or because of the TV pictures?
Yeah, well, both.
Right.
And you just get intimate with how they drive the car. So the only one who I've seen ever come close to doing that was Fernando, but he wouldn't lean on the rear as heavy as Kimi. Kimi just dealt with it like a rally driver. Like, I'm going to send it. It's going to do something. I don't really know what it's going to do, but I'm good enough to do it. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
But
Genius.
Kimi was one of those guys that you said today or back then when he came in, you couldn't be a young guy in F3 and go to F1 because the step was too big.
But he did it. Yeah, that's very true.
But he did it.
Yeah.
What about outside the car?
Mega.
Even better.
Yeah, mega.
He
What
would,
a boy.
He would go to a Red Bull party and just throw it into the corner and deal with it.
Yeah. No, he was mega. He was, so Ferrari at that point, like when did he come to us? 2009? 10? Was he there 9 and 10? Something like that? He wasn't there. No, he was there 8. No, 2008. And Ferrari was going through a bit of a change, like the whole company. It was becoming a bit more, it's Stellantis Group now, but then it was becoming slightly more corporate, slightly less,
Racy.
skunk works, yeah, over the road from like Big Brother, and like we just did what we want. So it was a little bit, and Kimi just didn't accept that. Kimi was just there to race. He was just, I don't care about any of this other stuff. I'm just going to race.
Like the political stuff.
Yeah,
and
all the political
all the media,
stuff.
the marketing.
And the
all of
corporate stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like we present ourselves or do things in a certain way. Kimi just didn't care about any of that. And then like superb driver, as we've just said, and then really good fun to hang around with, especially when we'd won a race or a championship.
I don't know how true this is, but I heard a story. Was it Rexona on the Lotus?
Yes.
Yes.
And towards the end, which is why I think James left too, they were struggling financially a bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen so much anymore, but back then it happened to many Formula One teams. And Kimi wasn't getting paid. And he had to go do an event for Rexona. And I think Rexona was like a shampoo product. Is that right?
Deodorant.
Was it deodorant?
Yeah.
And shampoo.
Yeah, I think general bodily care brand.
Yeah.
Let's call it that.
So Kimi had to go do an event for Rexona, some shampoo event. And he was so irritated
Shampoo.
that they didn't pay him. he shaved his head before he went to Shabu. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
But I don't put it past Kimi. That's Kimi.
Yeah.
He would have done that.
He would have done that.
He definitely would have done it.
If it is a myth, it's the perfect myth for Kimi Räikkönen, isn't it? It's exactly what he would.
But here's another thing. I mean, we talked about this last week about how, Otmar mentioned how hard Lewis works. Kimi's another one. Works very, very hard. So as this, this persona of, laid back and
lackadaisical.
Lackadaisical, likes a drink and all the rest of it. Yeah, he did like a drink, but he worked very, very hard and got the results and then went for a drink. And that to me is perfect, right? Don't do too much because you're not going to be ready for the next race. But that's the way that everybody has some release valve, and his was kind of going out with the people that he liked to go out with. And I can say, and he'll probably kill me for saying this, I mean, I've had some nights out and had to spend the next day in bed, and Kimi's been up on the treadmill at 6 o'clock. So,
Well, when I worked with David Coulthard, and he was always very good, DC, at knowing that he was fast, but also knowing that he wasn't as fast as other people in certain moments. And he says that when he shared the McLaren with Kimi, he would be in the car, get there early, as you would, prepared. David was
professional.
Very professional, lives a strict professional racing driver's lifestyle, particularly then. And he went around, gave it everything, fresh set of tyres. Whoa! End of his session, what was my time? Okay, cool. And he would say that Kimi Räikkönen would then sort of wander in his shorts or whatever, put on his race suit, go out on a scrubbed set of tyres and be 2/10 quicker than on his first lap. And David's like, but he was that natural. And I actually think it's a shame that Kimi is not in Formula One now, because when I was hosting it, one of our big jobs from 2009 was trying, no one knew who the drivers were then, right? 90% of the grid could have walked down Oxford Street and people wouldn't have stopped them because they just didn't know these guys. Because there wasn't the outlets now. There wasn't the social media. There wasn't
Netflix,
Drive to Survive. There wasn't hours and hours of various TV channels and F1 movies and all these things. These guys are megastars now.
Yeah.
I think he would be the most fascinating person to still be in Formula One in this era where we get to know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a shame he isn't. Maybe we should see if he'll come and do a podcast with us at some point.
Definitely.
Let's do it.
Well, back to Max then.
Yep.
I suppose really the question also needs to come down to Red Bull. What do Red Bull need to do to turn this season around after a tricky start? And what's gone wrong, I guess, for a team that know how to win?
Mercedes have stole the march, right? Mercedes have got things right rather than looking at what Red Bull have got wrong. I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with that car. I mean, I'm not party to looking at all the telemetry and the data, but you can look at the in-car camera. You can watch that. There's a little bit of data that kind of exists from various sources that you can go and have a look at.
The race engineer underworld.
The race engineer underworld.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with the car, right? Okay, the power unit isn't a Mercedes power unit. That's number one. Second is there's not a great deal wrong with the car. It's not as if it's evil and it's it's really badly handling. It just hasn't been developed as much as the Mercedes. It's just not as good car. So they just have to now catch up.
Looking at it from a different perspective, not the engineering dark web perspective. Teams that don't go through iterations of management change at the senior level seem to do better.
Yeah. Always.
So they've had Wheatley leave,
Newey
leave, Horner leave, even Marco leave.
Yep. All of that.
And all that coincides with doing your own powertrain.
Yeah. Which is a huge undertaking.
But it just seems like the ones that have stability, Toto's been there a long time. They've come back to the fore.
And I think maybe Rob's right, is that maybe we're judging everyone else wrong just because Mercedes have done so well.
Yeah.
So it almost looks worse for the teams that aren't Mercedes, actually.
Yeah, and if you don't have a Mercedes power unit, it's pretty clear that you're not going to be winning anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
I think the Ferrari's second
Yes.
You
Yeah, and good.
And good. And good. But this was Red Bull's foray into powertrain engineering, and it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they haven't done a bad job, right? We've just said how difficult it is. Like, look at the established manufacturers and how they've done with the new powertrain. This is like a brand new powertrain coming in. So we shouldn't judge them too harshly, I don't think. I mean, if they are where they are right now, there's a lot of potential in that group of people. So, but the real question is, because we're talking about Max, has Max got the patience to see that come together?
Yeah.
Well, you're here to answer the questions as well
Not
as
ask them.
You can ask them if you want, but you have to also answer them.
Well, my answer is no.
He doesn't have the patience.
And my answer is also I would back that up by saying no should he, right? He's an athlete. He's at the pinnacle of his career. He is undoubtedly, I think, the best driver out there right now, even if you put it to the drivers, the other 21 drivers. Hope I've got that number right. They would all vote for him. They would resoundingly vote for Max as the best pound-for-pound driver in 2026. So there's no doubt that he is like at the absolute peak of his career. That's not going to last forever. We see that with even current
Absolutely.
drivers.
Finite period.
Yeah.
And time goes by. And what did we say at the beginning? The best driver wants to be with the best team.
Yeah, of course. So he shouldn't have patience. He should just go where, if he gets an offer to go in a better car, all bets are off. Loyalty's out the window, I'm afraid. That's how it is with athletes and drivers.
Well, in a moment, we're going to talk about an athlete who has had to have patience time and time again in his Formula One career, because he is also one of the greatest, and it's been a long time since he has held the World Championship trophy in the air. Who am I talking about?
Fernando.
But first, once more, you've been sending in your questions, and we've got a question here from Lucy, and this is an interesting one. Where does everyone involved in the teams eat over a race weekend? And we don't really think about the circus behind the circus. So what goes on there?
So in Bahrain, especially when we were testing there, you remember, as you come into the circuit on the right-hand side, there were all those, there's a Costa, there's a Fuddruckers, there's a KFC, there was a McDonald's, a Burger King.
I can't remember these.
Just in Bahrain, as you're coming into the circuit on the right-hand side.
Oh, yeah. The petrol, near the gas station.
Exactly.
Yeah, petrol station, sorry.
So
I love your Americanisms.
at least once, one night during a test, I would go buy 3-4 buckets of KFC for the boys. But that's not where they eat. We have caterers that travel with us, and we each team hires usually a different company to do the catering, and you have 4 or 5 chefs that travel with the team, and then probably the same amount of servers as well. Probably a group of 8 to 12. And when I was at Alpine, Franz Wallenborn owned the company. We had 6 Italian chefs. I'll tell you, they were great. And I'm sure the food at Ferrari was good too.
Yeah, it was mega.
Was it?
Yeah, I think that Ferrari. So I mean, if you look back to when we probably first started in Formula One, like mid-late 90s, and it was like all field kitchens, right? And you would get one dish, and you would that was it. You got what was given to you, and it wasn't that great. If you fast forward to where we are now, it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I think there are like celebrity Michelin star like chefs who put their name and their brand to a team
to the
come
kitchens.
and bring their team, right, to cook every single weekend. So you imagine how spoiled the teams are now. I think
but the teams are not eating Michelin star food at race weekends, are they? The mechanics and the engineers and the marketing.
They eat the same stuff. Yeah.
They all eat the same stuff. I mean, it would be like
same chefs.
Yeah, same chefs.
Yeah.
And high level, high-end chefs.
Very, very high level. And I think it was Jean Todt at Ferrari who first got this. So he was like in the late 90s, early 2000s, he completely revolutionized like how the team ate. and it just kind of went through the roof with like the quality and the choice and like the nutritional value and all of this, like, and a whole team behind that. Because he understood that in the end, like an army marches on its stomach, right?
Oscar wants to know, is it possible to get emergency spare parts on a race weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But let me finish the food story.
Finish with the food, yeah?
Yeah. Carry on with the food, because I think this should be a 10-minute section.
Honda come in, and they all want Japanese food. I was vice president of Honda at the time. But they hired Dave Freeman. Remember Dave Freeman?
Yeah, yeah.
Dave Freeman, not Japanese.
How would you describe Dave Freeman to us?
Craig Freeman.
Dave Freeman was Craig's brother.
Oh, okay.
That's the best description I can give.
Right. There you go. That's a good description. And Craig Freeman was also a chef.
That's right.
From Jordan.
And how would you describe Craig? Dave's brother.
As the brother of Dave. Yeah. That's how they both get described.
So Dave Freeman had to go to Japan and learn how to prepare Japanese food.
Amazing.
And the Japanese guys absolutely loved his food.
Craig's food?
Dave's. They said Dave was better than 80% of the Japanese restaurants
No way, really?
in London.
Wow.
Anyway, every Sunday morning, guess who he would, in the back, send a plate of sushi to? Michael Schumacher.
Yes.
Every weekend.
I remember it. So I have my own better low-rent version of Honda sending stuff to Michael, which was when I was at Ferrari, the one thing that you couldn't get, obviously, was
sushi.
Was sushi. But coming from Jordan, couldn't get a bacon sandwich on a Sunday morning. So I always had to go to the back of the Bridgestone truck. And I used to have to eat it. The chefs at Ferrari used to get really upset with me and say, don't bring that in here. Like, bring the bacon
So
sandwich.
what were they giving you for breakfast on a Sunday morning? The Ferrari chefs?
Like,
Cheeses and meats and yogurt?
No, it's that the pasta with the egg in it. What is that called?
yeah, I don't know. But
Pasta for breakfast on a...
no, it's like it's sweet. Like you eat very like sweet. Italian breakfasts are pastries and the eggs and whatever. Anyway, so they wouldn't allow me to bring it in, so I used to have to stand outside the back of the Bridgestone motorhome and have my bacon sandwich.
Brown sauce or red sauce?
Red sauce, always.
More food stuff?
Definitely.
France toast?
French toast?
France toast. Team principal at Racing Bulls, Toro Rosso. Great guy. Straight shooter, racer, drove Formula Ford.
Yeah.
Great guy. Used to help out, you probably know this, Ralph Schumacher, when Ralph first came in.
That's right.
He was Ralph's assistant. Ralph didn't like raisins in his muesli.
I didn't know this. This sounds very
Not many
Mariah
people
Carey.
do, right? So it was France's job to remove the raisins.
You are lying.
No way.
The team principal of Racing
No, he
Bulls
wasn't
used to-
team
He
principal.
wasn't team principal then. He was Ralph's assistant.
I know, but he became a
then
team principal in Formula One.
And
He used to remove Ralph's raisins.
retired. It gets worse. The engineers at Williams, over time, saw that this was happening. So the night before, they would add even more raisins.
Get raisined up.
to the muesli to make France's job harder. True story.
Not a true story.
True story.
It will be true. You know that it will be true.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, we should probably move
How
on
long
from
would
the
it take
food.
taking the race?
You want more food stories?
No, do you know what? We are going to
do
do Food Stories Part 2 on another episode of High Performance Racing. We'll try and do this one slightly faster. So can you get emergency spare parts on a race weekend?
Yes.
So can you each give me a story of a time when you had to go to great lengths to get something to the car at a Grand Prix? Because I think I'm right in saying that Red Bull once put a floor on a private jet and flew it somewhere like Japan, maybe?
Oh, don't know about Japan.
Feels too far away, doesn't it?
I mean, we used to put like front wings and big car parts. I mean, we quite often, if I was one of the
Lawrence
last
Stroll
ones out,
flew all sorts of stuff around in his
Yeah.
jet.
yeah,
Same with you guys.
when we were at Williams, Lawrence would constantly be donating one of his jets, and we
For
would be
upgrades.
taking parts to and from the circuit. Yeah, so the answer is
for
yes.
European races.
I mean, look, if you're desperate enough, you'll find a way to get them to overseas races.
Independent of where you are.
Yeah.
One year when we were at the Beeb, we were trying to think of ways to bring the story of F1 home to people. And we decided to follow a Williams front wing all the way from being sketched out or drawn on CAD, all the way through the process, all the way to going to the paint shop, and then going to and it was a last minute thing. So I don't think it was a private jet, but it was coming in a box at the last minute to be fitted to the car. And it was like weeks and weeks and weeks of work, designing it, painting it, getting it ready. Only one of them, not two of them. Finally got it to the team, got it on the front of Pastor Maldonado's car.
How long did it last?
Exactly. What do you think happened next?
10 minutes.
Straight to the wall. And there endeth the film. Right, we're going to talk about your old team. We just mentioned him, Lawrence Stroll, Aston Martin. I think before we talk about what has happened there, I'd be really interested to find out from you what you think the atmosphere is like there as someone who's been a leader at Aston Martin. And this is like not just not winning races. This is like back of the grid, worst case scenario, nightmare situation stuff.
So when I started there in 2009, VJ owned the team.
As Force India.
And they're dead last. From what VJ kept saying, our two cars are racing each other at the back end of the grid and we're seconds off the pace. And I remember saying to VJ, and he didn't have a commercial department at all. He put all the money in. Nobody. Ian Phillips. But Ian also did our communications. So, not that Ian was bad at it, but, VJ didn't really focus on that. And I remember going to VJ and saying, VJ, we need a commercial department. We should at least be able to get 30, 40, 50 million a year from sponsors. The whole car was his brands.
Yeah.
His whiskey brands, his airplane, Kingfisher Airlines, Kingfisher Beer, White Mackay, the whole thing.
Which is kind of
all his brands.
It's an approach in itself that could work if you want to grow your own brands as well as a Formula One.
And then he's put money in. And, he looked at me and he said, Otmar, let me worry about the commercials. You worry about the performance. If we continue to not get out of Q1, you're not going to be around here much longer. So it was pretty clear to me, but he let me get on with it. And then I started hiring people that I knew could do the job and I can convince to come. But after a while, I thought to myself, how do I convince the best in Formula One to come work here so we can continue to improve? And it dawned on me, the best way to do that was make it the best place in Formula One to work. And if you make it the best place to work, you can attract the best people. And then I had to define, well, what is the best place? Because it was Eddie Jordan's old factory. We didn't have swimming pools or gyms or fancy canteen, although I did hire somebody that did a great job on the food because I thought that was important. But ultimately, what makes a place a good place to work is psychological safety, and I didn't know it was called that then. And that is respect for the individual, honesty, being upfront with people. And once you give them that and the word gets out, you can attract the best. And that is the atmosphere that you create within the team. And you ask me what the atmosphere is like there now, I doubt it's the same.
Why do you think it isn't like that now?
It's easier to be like that when you're on the ascendancy. It's much more difficult to be like that when you're coming down. And it's easier to be like that when you have respect for the individuals and you keep everybody there and happy and everyone isn't so concerned about their own well-being. They're more concerned about the team.
Yeah.
That's the point, right?
So do you think there's more of a fear factor in that team at the moment?
Once you start getting rid of people a lot and repeatedly, it inevitably happens that there's a fear factor. And once you have that fear factor, you start making small decisions at the margin different. Your decisions are all about what's good for me, not what's good for the whole thing.
You start.
And 95% of what's good for me is also good for the team, but maybe 5% it's not. And at that 5% margin is where you lose it.
100%. You start to kind of retreat into yourself, right? I saw this at Ferrari when, we went through a period of total dominance and everybody in the team was like protected. We were all, there was no hubris, there was no big egos. We had the guys who kind of like, my boss was like Ross Brawn, who, that time was like a legend of the sport, still is. Had done, won a lot. And everybody, it was a very flat structure. And we were just allowed to get on with our jobs and experiment and not have any kind of fear, right? There was the psychological safety that Otmar just talked about. Like how
you're allowed to make mistakes.
You're allowed to make
and
mistakes.
Learn from them.
Yeah. You've got to make mistakes, right? If you are innovating, if you're doing something new, you're going to make mistakes. Otherwise, you're just doing something that you've done before. Talk about this all the time. But then what happened was slowly, towards the end of my time there, that changed. And that was a team that was dominant, as Otmar just said. And now it was on the descent, right? And at that point, the psychological safety kind of went away. And then at the margins, as we said, you just start making different decisions, or you don't, or it's better not to make a decision.
Yeah.
Even
considerations are different.
Yeah. Even though you know that there's the right decision to make, there's we should be doing something different. I just saw people not putting their hand up anymore, not putting their head above the parapet. And that makes a big, big difference. A Formula One team, you can literally, and we've had lots of examples of this in the past, right? Toyota is a great example, right? You can bring to bear all of the resource and all of the money and all the best people, but if you don't have the team gel, if you don't have pressure with psychological safety, right, you won't win. Simple as that.
Formula One is hard.
Very hard.
I just wonder whether doing a kind of Real Madrid style Galacticos, let's just get the very best people and put them in, and if after a while they don't work, remove them. Whether that's ever going to be successful. You think you were there and then you weren't there. Mike Crack was demoted. Andy Cowell was removed. Now there's questions over Adrian Newey. Is he really the team principal? Is Jonathan Wheatley now going to come in? It sounds to me like what you're both saying is, even if they're good people that are coming in, and even if the people that are leaving aren't necessarily doing the right thing, so they needed to leave, the uncertainty that constant revolving door creates filters down throughout a team and actually does impact performance.
Especially 100%. If they're good people.
Like Otmar Szafnauer.
Well, I'm not saying that, but especially, you hire Andy Cowell or Mike Crack or I don't know who else was there. You could maybe consider Martin Whitmarsh, who also came there.
Yeah.
And now an Adrian Newey, he's legendary and one of the best in our era of Formula One, if not the best, most successful car designer, developer, whatever you want to call him, aerodynamicist. Especially when you make those changes, because the rest of the organization looks and thinks, man, he's better than I am, and this happened to him, could happen to me.
Yeah.
But is that the reason for them being where they are? Because every time I read an article about them, I read that they just had a disastrous situation with Honda. And
well, I think that, all of these...
What does your dark engineering web say?
The dark engineering web says
is it all
that,
powertrain, or is it?
No, it's not. It's not all powertrain, and I think Aston Martin know that it's not all powertrain.
I think
as well.
all the engineers that look at the data, you can look at medium speed, low speed corners where the powertrain is less meaningful, and then you can look at the trace at the end of the straight where the powertrain is meaningful, and you can get a ratio of how much is powertrain and how much is chassis. I don't think it's all powertrain. Not from what I hear. What do you hear in your?
No, I think you can see that it's not all powertrain. I think you can see that it's never. This is the frustrating bit, but also the beauty of Formula One, right? You have to get everything right. Everything has to be perfect. So I think like even Adrian come out and said it's did he describe it as the 5th fastest chassis? I'm not quite sure how that is calculated, but whatever. Let's just take that at face value. So the fact that they're not winning, even if the powertrain was the fastest powertrain, but with the 5th fastest chassis, you're still not going to win because everything has to be perfect. So and I also think this
is it additive. If you got the 5th fastest chassis and the 5th fastest powertrain, does that make you the 11th fastest team?
Ooh. Or the
Possibly.
5th fastest team. There's one for you.
Or maybe they cancel each other out. 5 minus 5 is 0. So you're the fastest
So
team.
you're last.
Oh, no, you're last.
Tell you what, that's a challenge for you for episode 3. One of my early questions is going to be: if
How
you've
many
got the
powertrains are
5th
there?
fastest engine and the 5th fastest
Mercedes.
chassis, where are you on the grid?
Shall I bring it in as a model? Like not as an Airfix model, I mean as a mathematical model.
Are you able to do that?
Yeah, it's like really basic.
Is it? There's me amazed that you can do. What other things can you do on a computer?
Oh, loads. Have you heard of? So there's this, like the drawing pad. What's that called?
Etch-a-Sketch.
No, that's not on a computer. That's mechanical and done by magnets. I know you think it's magic. ChatGPT. Have you heard of that?
What?
Yeah, there's
What's
this
that?
thing.
How does that
I
work?
don't know. Somebody told me about it.
So we're saying it's not all engine, but there is maybe some cultural issues going on there as well. There's 2 people that I want to talk about in this mix. Number 1, obviously Fernando Alonso, and number 2, Jonathan Wheatley. Can we just talk about Fernando first of all? You've got kids, Otmar,
I do.
and you've got kids,
Yes.
and I've got a couple. Congratulations, Fernando Alonso. He's a father. Does that change things, especially when you're in a car that is not giving you much of a thrill on the racetrack? You guys have been there. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. How old is Fernando now? 44?
45 in June or July.
To me, and I've worked with drivers who've had kids and then lost a bit of speed. I think,
Felipe, would he have been that?
yeah, I think all drivers.
I think Sebastian Vettel might have spoken about it, you know.
Yeah, but
It
I
changes
think
the way you think.
I think it's a maturity thing as well. Because as you get older, regardless of whether you've got kids or not, maybe kids accentuate it, but you do start to think more about your own mortality.
Yeah.
Right? When you're an 18-year-old kid and all you want to do is drive Grand Prix cars, and then you just want to win in Grand Prix cars, then you want to win World Championships. There's nothing else kind of matters. Then as you get older, like anything in life, you start to be much more considerate of your own mortality. Maybe kids accentuate that. I don't believe they do. So I think Fernando's already matured past that point where he's thinking, I don't want to hurt myself.
Or there is a positive correlation between getting older and having kids.
Yeah, of course.
So you have kids at a time where you might be on your decline physiologically anyway. And then people equate it to the psychology of, I'm not going as fast because of my kids, or I can't go any faster. I don't know which it is.
Yeah. Do you think it makes a difference for a driver to be a dad?
Max is a dad. We
Mate,
just sat here and
I think
he was the best we got.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you go.
There you go. I think it makes them always more rounded individuals. You know what I mean? I think they start to think about, you know what it's like when you have kids. There's what's the word for it? What is the word?
Sacrifice.
No, not sacrifice. What is the
Sleep deprivation.
No, sleep deprivation, anger. No, none of that. What is the love that you feel for your kids?
Unconditional.
Unconditional. Why couldn't I think of that word? Help me
Because you're
out
not
from
that
the
bright.
Yeah, because I'm a bit thick. Yeah, that is true. Unconditional love. And when you feel that, you kind of like start to think, well, there is more to life. It kind of shows you that there's more to life. So I think all the drivers that I've ever worked with during the period where they've gone from being without kids to kids, I've seen like a little bit of a change in them where they've become a bit more human and a bit easier to work with and a bit more reasonable at times.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
I remember talking with Lance Stroll, and he's saying that before every season he writes a contract with himself. Like, do I want to sacrifice another year of doing what everyone else does to be an F1 driver? They all do it. His teammate Fernando Alonso does it. I just think at 45, in a car that bad, having been so long since you last won, and when he came on High Performance years ago, he said he doesn't even remember winning the world title in 2003. Was that his first or second 2003?
Is it 4 and 5?
4 and 5, yeah.
Right, so
4
not
and 5.
So neither.
So yeah,
Yeah.
He wouldn't have remembered.
Yeah, you wouldn't
winning
remember.
it.
A nice way to correct you is to actually not say,
Thank you.
what the hell are you talking about? Maybe it was 4 and 5.
The great thing with editing is this bit, I know my team will never keep this bit in. So I can just say
Take
2004
that
or
out.
2005. Yeah.
Take that.
Unless they hate me. If you've heard all of that, you'll know they hate me. 2005. Was
I
that his
think-
first one, 2005? Oh, yeah, 5 and 6 then. So, guys, we were all wrong.
No, of course. Yeah, I was at Ferrari when we won in 2004. Oh, what an
So-
embarrassment. Don't leave that in.
I
No,
was
you're
in.
right. And we finished second in 2004 at
Yeah.
Honda. At
And you
Honda.
didn't even remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're all
we,
wrong.
We finished second
you
without a race win.
Wow.
Yes.
That is a full episode in itself. But I just think
You're always on pole, right?
Yeah, but we never won a race.
Yeah, I know. They used to always qualify in pole in 2004. Sorry, we've hijacked this episode.
this is your show. I'm literally here to kind of get in the way.
Yeah, look how angry
Take the
Jake
money.
is now. I'm so rubbish. I shouldn't be here.
I just wonder how long you keep going for if you're not getting the thrill on the track.
It's great that we're entertaining him.
I know. If you can hear some random laughter on the microphones, it is our producer Will in the corner giggling, mainly Rob.
Anyway, so Fernando won in 2005.
2005. Oh yeah, and he
Six,
told us on
and
the
he can't
show
remember.
he has no memory of winning it because he didn't enjoy it because he was just like
Really?
on to the next thing. And then I said to him, what's the cost of doing what you've done? And he said, personal relationships is the biggest sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I just think, how long can you continue to sacrifice that?
When you're in a not the most competitive. car.
Correct. Like, is this Fernando Alonso's last season in Formula One?
There's something that
I
keeps
think no.
dragging him back. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I agree.
You think he carries on?
I think there's
Yep.
something that keeps dragging him back to it. He tried to walk away from it. He had all of that angst that McLaren, Honda, and, all the GP2 engine and that stuff. He clearly wasn't enjoying himself. He went away, he did a couple of things, but it just didn't have the same attraction or draw for him, right? I mean, he didn't win the Indy 500, did he? But he come really close. He won
Won Le
Dakar.
Mans.
Oh, he did really, he won Le Mans. He did really well in Dakar, but it's just not the same as Formula One.
Yeah.
And I can see that, I've kind of been not involved, I don't think, but like looked at, kind of on the outside of looking at other forms of motorsport. None of it is the same as Formula One. In this game, there's Formula One here and there's everything else.
Remember, if you're not in a winning car, the one thing you got to do is beat your teammate. And I'm thinking as long as he's beating his teammate, he might come back.
Yeah.
And he is doing that and has done that.
Because in fact, I wanted to make this point about Aston Martin, right? We shouldn't, it was when we got onto our fifth chassis and fifth power unit, fifth fastest power unit, fifth fastest chassis, right? Adrian Newey hasn't been there that long, so we shouldn't expect miracles from the guy. And we've talked about this before. It's never down to one guy. It's about him,
There is.
gelling the team with the other senior team members and trying to make it work. Fernando will definitely be holding on to that and thinking, well, give Adrian another year or 2 years. As long as I can still do it, he's going to deliver a winning car. Or there's a strong possibility that he'll deliver a winning car. He will be, that's a strong enough attraction for him to hang around.
Or
I
the
think.
corollary to that is, what if he does deliver a winning car in 2 years and I've quit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I'm kicking myself.
Yeah, but then you never walk away. I mean,
As long as you can do it.
As long as you can do it.
yeah.
Got to be able to do it. 2 years' time will be 47, right?
Yeah, but I mean, look at the track record. Honda have won, even in recent times, world championships, right? Adrian Newey, even in recent times, world championships. And now they've got them together. So if you say to yourself in 2 years' time, we can sort this out, you don't want to quit now.
No.
Yeah. And do you think
Although it's going to be hard to sort it.
Do they need Jonathan Wheatley, do you think?
So they have Mike Crack as trackside
Director, chief
officer,
engineer.
chief trackside officer.
Chief trackside officer, yeah.
They have
correct.
Andy Stevenson as sporting director.
Yep.
What they don't have is a team principal. Jonathan Wheatley was sporting director at Red Bull,
Yeah.
and then moved over.
They've got Andy Cowell as well.
And Andy Cowell's there as well, doing strategy.
Chief strategy officer, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of chiefs.
Yeah. So do they need him? I mean, I know Jonathan, he's very competent, did a great job at Red Bull, super nice guy. Andy Stevenson probably knows the rules as well as Jonathan does from a sporting director perspective. He's got the respect of the mechanics that work for him in the garage. I'm sure Jonathan would have the same. They're working hard on their pit stops. Red Bull were very good at pit stops. So do you hire a Jonathan Wheatley, which is a replica of an Andy Stevenson that you already have? And if you do, what do you gain?
Do you gain someone who had an amazing relationship with Adrian Newey at Red Bull? And maybe Adrian has said, I think I need someone who I know to come in and be the team principal and let me get on with designing the car.
Maybe you're right. Maybe that's what's going to happen. And he'll be a trusted pair of hands because Adrian's worked with him before.
Yeah. I think that's it, right? I think you've hit the nail on the head. Adrian can kind of migrate back to doing what he does very, very well. And Jonathan comes in and does the bits that Adrian either is not good at, because we're all good at some things and not good at others, or doesn't want to do.
Doesn't want to do because there is this thing called comparative advantage. Do the things you're best at and continue to do those, and don't do the things that don't give you as much of an advantage, even though you can do them.
Yeah.
If you're a great painter or an artist, don't cut the grass. Do more paintings. Let the guy who is good at cutting the grass cut your grass. Comparative advantage. So there could be that.
I love that. Guys, thank you very much. Before we finish the episode, we haven't even done our predictions for the season, and we're now 2 episodes in and the season's 3 races in. Almost too late, but I think we should do it anyway. And you're kind of getting an unfair advantage anyway because you've seen what's happened on track. This season, who is the Drivers' World Champion?
Can I go first?
Yes.
So he doesn't steal it? George Russell.
I was going to say George.
I knew it. That's why I wanted to go first.
I'm only copying Otmar.
Okay, well, you can go first on this one. Who wins the Constructors' Championship in 2026?
Oh, it's even easier. He took the words right out of our mouth.
Unbelievable. Amazingly, I'm going to go Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari.
Good luck.
We'll wrap up with a quick question from another member of our audience.
Will?
No, this isn't Will, actually, on this occasion. This is Josh, who wants to know the one job you both hated the most in Formula One.
Packing my bags.
Yeah. Airport security. Oh, take your belt off, please. What, again?
What happens if the trousers fall down? Oh, we get to see your Eddie Jordan shorts.
There you go. Worst job?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, of course we can say the travel, but that wasn't really a job. You were literally a passenger. I don't know. That's really weak.
Fuck the whole end of the episode.
No, it's I don't know what.
All right, you say travel. I'll come up with something else.
All right.
What was the one job you really didn't like is a question from Josh.
Traveling, especially on the outbound journey, because it's going to be a long week and you're going away from home.
Coming back from the 3-week break where we couldn't work and having 10,000 emails to answer.
In your summer break. Yeah.
Good one.
That were stacked up there by everyone else that didn't have the summer break.
Yeah, good one.
Do you know what my worst part of the job was? And this is very unique to being a broadcaster. We'd arrive on the Thursday of meetings and prep, Friday, creating loads of content, Saturday, go on air and do a qualifying show, which would be an hour before quali and then half an hour after. But then you'd have to do all of that work across Saturday night and Sunday morning to then do the same thing for a race show on a Sunday. That's what I didn't like. It felt super rushed. And it was like the Sunday was the main thing. And all the effort went into the Saturday.
I'll give you another one, which was how, like back in the day when we used to do proper testing, right? Like when we were testing, like so you would go to a Grand Prix and then the race engineers and the performance engineers would go on to do the test in the midweek with their driver, and just how tired you were because you'd already come off the back of a Grand Prix weekend. Then you would go and fly to Mugello or to Barcelona or whatever, and we'd go and do 3 days of testing. And it wasn't like, you know, when the cars stop running, you go home. Cars stop running at 6 o'clock. You've got a minimum of 6 hours work after that. So it's minimum of midnight when you leave. It was always more like 1, 2 in the morning. And just by the end of that week, I was always exhausted. I got to the point where you couldn't really think straight anymore.
I think we've
Didn't like
stumbled into a really strong element of this podcast for Formula One fans moaning about working in Formula One. Isn't it? I think they're going to love this. The fact we had to work till 1 o'clock in the morning a couple of times a year.
You asked the question.
It's so true. Disappointingly, the favourite part of episode 1 with our audience was the dad jokes at the end, so we need to finish with one
I don't
each.
have any.
What do you call an Italian with a rubber toe?
Don't know.
Rubber
So, do you remember when the Olympics were here? 2012?
yeah.
This had to be not Bosco Quinn, but one of Eddie Jordan's buddies.
It's good. It's good. Beat that.
All right. I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah.
This is a
You're
sweary
going to
dad
ask that
joke.
every episode.
All my dad's jokes were sweary. So there's 2 nuns in a Mini, and they pull up at the traffic lights.
Great start.
There's 2 louts at the traffic lights who are all, you know, kind of like rocking the car, all right, you know, and like getting a bit leery. And the Mother Superior who's driving says to the younger nun next to her, she says, "Oh, sister, I don't think they know that we're nuns. Show them your cross." So the young nun winds down the window and goes, "Well, you 2 fuck off."
Oh, what an end to the show. Guys, thank you very much.
like
That's it. Episode 2 wrapped up and done. I hope you enjoyed it as well. As always, please hit subscribe, hit follow, check us out on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and keep on letting us know what you like about the show, what you want more of, what you want less of. And I've got a challenge for you each for episode 3. I want you to bring something to the studio from your life in Formula One, and we're going to get you to just tell us a little bit about it. It can sit on the shelf behind us, and we'll do that in the next episode. Have you got something in mind?
Yeah, let me think about it. Yeah.
Okay, you've got a week. Guys, thank you very much. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on High Performance Racing.